So we got a lot of professional pictures up here that we're going to take a look at. Every of these videos are paused at front foot strike. Excuse me. What we're going to notice is the position that they are in and the position that we were working out of in practice. They are very similar looking, and we will then backtrack and see and watch how the feet, how the knees, how the hips rotate to get into their position at front foot strike. And then after the front foot strike, then the upper body rotates out in front. Out in front. Nice and balanced, under control. We look at Zach Granke. How did he get there? Rotating. And now he's in a very similar position as to what we were doing today. And seeing how then he can rotate everything out in front and most importantly, down. Out in front and down. How did he get there? Letting that lower body rotate. Lower body rotate. So then he can rotate his upper body down the mount out in front. Under control. And balanced. Boom. Position that we were in today at practice. Rotate out in front. Position that we were in today at practice. Oh, hold on. How did he get there? By rotating the lower half. So then it's just the upper half rotating out in front. After that. So very similar to the position that we were in today at practice. How do you get there? Rotating that lower half. Boom. And then you can rotate the throw out in front. Very similar position to what we were in today. How do you get there? Rotating the lower half. Boom. So then this just locks out. And we can see these three here look very similar. Rotate out in front. How did Sonny Gray get here? Rotating that lower body, rotating that lower body. Into foot strike, very similar position we worked through at practice, so we can rotate down the mound, out in front. Very similar position we were working out of today. How did he get there? Lower body rotates to get there. Boom. Position that we were in today, belt buckle to the target, chest back still. So we can rotate down, out in front. Head on the target. So we just keep this one up as a reference point for our videos going forward. We can see upper body pretty close to the same. But we can see the knee still hasn't quite fully rotated around. Now it's through. We're just missing a little bit of that foot, this leg to rotate. That versus that. And we're trying to rotate out in front, but we're more rotating this way as opposed to rotating this way. Boom. Boom. Close. We're close. You can see how much that head's tilted. And those shoulders are tilted. Versus the shoulders less tilted. And the head less tilted. Just a little bit more out in front with the rotation versus to the side with the rotation. Out in front. Side to side. And that's because of this front leg stuck. It's got to kick out. Kick out. All right, we can see upper body kind of similar, pretty similar, but lower body, see, this whole front side hasn't really done anything yet. Hasn't done anything yet before the foot's in the ground. So now instead of the rotation going out in front and down the mound, it has to become out here, out here, out here. By the time your full foot is flat into the ground, boom, our shoulders are fully opened already. As opposed to foot flat in the ground and still closed here. And the knee still closed off just because of how much the foot is angled. And now our rotation is just here. From the time foot's flat on the ground, boom, power we can bring through is that while trying to go down the mound versus bringing all of that power down the mound. Okay, so lower bodies, pretty similar. But we can see, where's this glove at? We're not finishing it. We're just letting it swoop out. We're letting the glove swoop out away from our body. So now where's our energy going? It's going this way. Our shoulders are rotating this way. So that way, once that foot's in the ground, we're not going to be able to rotate down the mound. We're going to have to rotate around the mound. Only that, and the ball's out. And the ball's out that quick. That quick versus down the mound. Getting our bodies to rotate it down versus just rotating around. Whereas as that last little bit going, it's going down, down, versus you can see it's just kind of, you're like, just coming out of my fingers. You're just getting around it. Around it. Why is your hand just getting around it? Because this glove got around it. All right, so we look at lower body. It's pretty close. Foot's just not flat on the ground, but the leg is pretty close. But we can see how much the upper body has rotated at this point. And we don't want it to have rotated yet at this point. But we're close with the lower body. But because the upper body is here, that's our throw. That's your throw. And it's very much going up. Going up versus rotating forward. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Come on. It's rotating forward. You see how we're always tall. Always are tall. Not able to get the ball to go down. Boom. So we can see upper body is kind of tilting out a little bit here. We're kind of tilting out a little bit here. We're starting to tilt out. And then we can see front leg just a little bit closed, mostly because that foot is so still closed, which then makes it hard for us to be able to get this knee out of our way and get the back hip to go forward versus up. Getting the back hip to go forward, forward, forward. Because this knee's in the way, your back hip can't go forward. It's in the way. It's going to go up. It's going to be going up. Instead of going forward and around. So we got to think about being more upright and not so tilty, because then we're going to be rotating here instead of rotating out front, out front, out front. Because your body wants to get out front. It wants to, but it's just as hard as little arch that we got going on early. It just makes it a little bit difficult to get that ball to be throwing. Yeah, there. That's where it should be, right there. Should be right there coming out of our hands, but it's just a little early. And I think it's because that this hard tilt just makes it get sent out a little early. It's close, though. So this leg is very much in the way still. It doesn't get out of the way until now, but the ball's already out of your hand by now. I mean, you see those stripes on your leg just not really rotating at all. Until when? Until the ball is out of your hand. Now they're on the side of your leg. So you got to feel that front leg rotating all the way around. Rotating all the way. Get that belt buckle to the catcher. Because then we end up just pushing this ball. Elbows dropping low. Kind of just pushing it. as opposed to rotating and throwing it down. All right, so we see front foot strike position. This knee is very much in the way, and we can see our shoulders have already begun to open up. So by the time your heel gets all the way in the ground, your shoulders are completely through. So we're not rotating our hips until you start to rotate your shoulders. We got to use our body. We got to use our legs. We got to rotate the legs. We're not rotating the legs until the shoulders begin to rotate. We got to rotate that lower body. Bam. Then rotate the upper body. Bam. Then finish everything down. Bam. All right, so we can see one, the stride is opening up. We want to be striding to our target. We want to be going to our target. We can see we're striding over here. We talked about, I made a comment a couple times in practice about making sure we're setting ourselves up in a straight line to the target and not over towards first base dugout, because we can see now it's becoming a part of what we're doing here. See, the upper body is in a good position, very much like this, but we can see the drastic differences in the lower body. By the time your heel gets all the way into the ground, we can see that this leg is still in a very awkward position, which then sends the knee then to swivel there. So now the knee is finally in a good position, but we can see how much our upper body has had to sacrifice to get there. We can also see this kind of position that we're in here when shoulders get squared versus this position when shoulders get squared. To then be able to throw the ball out in front and down versus up, 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 and struggling to get it to go actually down versus down and around. All right, so like we said, it was close. You can see the shoulders are starting to rotate because we can already see this back elbow. So the upper body needs to wait a little bit, needs to stay back. But this is close to being in a good position. It's only going to move a little bit, but it is still moving before it stabilizes. But we can then see how much our shoulders have rotated to get to this position that we find over here, to then come through versus that.